If you're like me, a big fan of Castlevania, then you're probably looking forwards to Castlevania Nocturne, the sequel to the Netflix anime dropping later this September. If you're also like me, though, you're probably a huge nerd for tabletop RPGs and wondering how you can play as the best ever characters in the Castlevania franchise in something like, say, Dungeons and Dragons. Well, my friends, I am here to help you out because today we are going to build the one, the only, the absolute pinnacle, the goat of Castlevania heroes. That's right, we're talking about Maria fucking Renard. Now, why are we doing Maria instead of someone like Richter? Well, I'll tell you. It's because Richter, while he is really cool, he's really badass, he's really fucking hot when Kojima draws him, he's also throwing around holy magic and using superpowered hero whips that have been passed down through the Belmont clan for generations. No, no, no. Maria here, she's doing the exact same things. She's killing demons, monsters, vampires, but she's doing it by throwing fucking pigeons at them. This girl walks up to Dracula, throws a domestic bird at his head, and he just dies all the same. That is fucking badass, and that is why we are building her. So, let's talk about what our goals are. Our first goal for the build is going to be to bird up. Her main weapon in the Castlevania games is Maria throws birds. She throws little doves or pigeons, whatever you want to call them. I like alternating between the two because pigeon is really funny to imagine being thrown at Dracula, but that's besides the point. She's going to be throwing birds, but she also has to have all of her sub-weapons, including Bird 2.0, the Phoenix sub-weapon. So we're going to make sure we get birds, and we're going to make sure we can also get flaming birds. Next up, turtle power. We've got to make sure that she is able to have access to a lot of protective magic to block, reduce, or otherwise negate incoming damage. Then, being catty. We like to throw around cats here, and let me tell you, Maria, she has one hell of a pussycat. She's going to be throwing that around, and we've got to make sure this cat is able to charge right through all hordes of undead and demonic monsters just as easily as any sort of vampire killer whip. And finally, I know, I'm getting boring with these, but enough dragging on with all of this. We got to make sure we get her the most powerful of her sub-weapons, the dragon. With all that said, let's get onto the stats. We're going to be using standard array here for the physical stats. We're putting our 8 into strength. For most of the games she's in, she's a small child, not very strong. We're also not really going to need strength that much. Dexterity, we're putting our 14 into because she's pretty nimble. She's a very light on her feet character, and honestly, she's probably one of the first moments in Castlevania that we have a lot of high mobility abilities. Like, she's the one who creates the double jump in Castlevania. We gotta make sure she's agile enough to do that. Constitution is going to be a little middle of the road because we need other stats much higher, and also because while we do want to make sure that we're able to rely on Constitution for, at the very least, con saves, it's not going to be as important as other things. For internal stats, we have Intelligence at 10. She's a child, she's not dumb, but she's also just a child. Wisdom is going to be our 15 because, well, you'll see soon enough. And she works a lot with animals. Animal handling is a wisdom skill. You kinda need that if you want to do that. And finally, charisma at 12. She's likable enough, but she's also not gonna be focusing very much on her people skills. So with that taken care of, now let's get into the ancestry and the background. So, surprise, surprise, Maria Renard is in fact a variant human. We could have gone normal human, but normal human's boring. Variant human obviously is where it's at. We're going to put our +1s into Wisdom and Constitution. We're going to grab the Warcaster feat here. This is mainly for the advantage on the concentration saves from taking damage, but also being able to use spells instead of physical attacks for opportunity attacks. It's going to be a lot nicer considering we're not going to be focusing too much on melee abilities here. We're also going to get ourselves the animal handling proficiency because this is probably one of the characters where this is the single most important ability. Sure, we're going to be able to magically conjure animals and magically tame animals, but we also want to make sure we're able to just get mundane animals on our side too, and the easiest way to do that is through being a very good animal handler. She would have made a great vet if those existed back in the day. For our background, we're going to go custom with a sort of a aristocratic vampire huntress design for the persuasion to give her a little more of the aristocratic side, and athletics to cover up the fact that she's going to be very wimpy in the strength department. So, level 1, we are starting off with the first of our 2 classes. Spoiler, we're going to be having 2 classes that will multi-class between. Don't worry, you'll hear more about that later. With Druid. As a druid, we have nature and religion proficiency. Nature, so we know all about our lovely animal friends. Religion, so we know all about our hideous vampire fiends. We know the druidic language if you want a secret language that you can share with other nature-loving vampire and monster hunters. You get the ability to cast spells. You get 2 cantrips to start off. We're going to grab Thunderclap, which forces a Constitution save, or else you take a small amount of thunder damage. One of Maria's lesser appreciated sub-weapons is the Songbook, which lets her attack with her voice. So this way, we get something that represents that pretty well, a weak little magic song attack. We're also going to pick up Magic Stone, which we are reflavoring into Magic Pigeon. Magic Pigeon here is going to give us a weapon attack that we still use our casting stat instead of what will be an uncapped physical attacking stat. And also, you can give those stones to your friends, and they can throw it and cast spells using your stats on their turn for more magic damage output. We also have some suggested spells here. We have Animal Friendship, which lets you charm a beast of intelligence 4 or lower for 24 hours. They'll be friendly and do whatever you can communicate commands to it from. This is very useful since with animal handling you can communicate those intentions pretty clearly. We also have Beast Bond, which lets you telepathically connect to a beast that is friendly with you or charmed by you. This also has the benefit of giving that beast advantage on all of its attack rolls against any creature within 5 feet of you that you can see. We're going to be having a lot of summons by the end of this, but a fair amount of them are going to be beast type still, so you're going to be able to take advantage of this for those. We're going to grab Jump to triple our jump distance. Again, Maria is the one who originated the double jump and the super jump in Castlevania. She's got to have hops. White boys may not be able to jump, but you better fucking believe that French vampire hunting girls can jump. We're also going to get Protection from Evil and Good to give disadvantage on any fiends, monstrosities, or undead or fae that try to attack us. Level 2, we are continuing on with Druid. At this level, we would normally get Wild Shape, however, Maria doesn't turn into animals, so we're going to completely ignore that. Instead, we are going to use the far less appreciated alternate ability introduced in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, the Wild Companion. This allows you to expend a use of your Wild Shape to instead cast Find Familiar for a duration of an hour. This is going to be useful, although not as useful perhaps as the added HP and versatility of being able to turn into an animal, because this will still give you the abilities of Find Familiar. Familiars can give you advantage on attack rolls by helping, you can use them for scouting, you can use them for assistance, you can use them for fun little roleplay shenanigans. It's a very versatile spell.
Please use the link in description to download the
Second level is also when we get to pick our druidic subclass. We are going with the Circle of the Shepherd because, surprise, surprise, the character who summons a lot of stuff is going to benefit from the subclass about summoning a lot of stuff. We get the Speech of the Woods ability, which allows us to verbally communicate directly with animal friends, and we also get the ability to summon a spirit totem. As a bonus action, you can pick a point within 60 feet of you to create a incorporeal spirit aura that extends 30-foot radius around that point. It's not a creature or an object, though it does kind of look like a creature. You can also, as a bonus action from that point on, move it up to 60 feet to a new point that you can see. It persists for a minute or until you're incapacitated, and once you use the feature, you have to wait until you finish a long or short rest before you can use it again. You get 3 different options for which spirit you want to summon. First is the Spirit of the Turtle. The turtle gives you and your allies 5 plus your druid level temp HP if they're in the aura when it's summoned, as well as advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws in the aura. You could also do the Spirit of the Tiger. When a creature makes an attack roll against a target in the spirit's aura, you can use your reaction to give that attacker advantage on the attack roll. This can include yourself. Also, you and your allies have advantage on perception checks in the aura. Or you can pick the Dragon Spear. You and your allies gain advantage on all ability checks made to detect creatures in that aura, and if you cast a spell using a spell slot that restores hit points to any creature inside or outside the aura, each creature of your choice in the aura also regains hit points equal to your druid level. Considering how low a lot of animals' HP pools are, this effectively can let you heal a whole mass of summons that you have in one fell swoop. Fantastic action economy. Level 3, we're continuing on with Druid. Here we get second level spells. The ones I would recommend are Animal Messenger to allow yourself a means of long distance communication, Turtle Shell to make it so your AC cannot be below 16, Dark Vision so your shitty human eyes can actually see something at night, or, a dark, evil castle. Locate animals and plants to help you find more accomplices in your vampire-slaying shenanigans, Moonbeam to give yourself a nice little item crash worth of holy energy laser action, and Summon Beast. This is a big one. This is from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Check it out. It allows you to summon a beast of land, air, or sea, each with its own stat block. Check it out there. It's a fantastic spell. It scales pretty well, and it also is affected by things like Beast Bond. Great pick for this. At level 4, we get our first ability score improvement. We're going to be bumping up our wisdom because that's our most important stat right now. Pretty simple. We're also going to learn a new cantrip. We're going to pick Produce Small Phoenix to create a small flaming bird that you can throw at your enemies to light them on fire. It's pretty fun, pretty versatile too, beyond just throwing a flaming bird at people. You'd be surprised what you can do with a flaming bird. Level 5 is big for us because at Druid 5 we get 3rd level spells. The ones I'm recommending are Conjure Animals. This is a huge one. It lets you pick to have anywhere between 1 and 8 beasts summoned, all that are your allies and under your command. You can see the full rules for this as well as a whole bunch of stat blocks within the player's hand guide and other resources. I'm not going to show you all of them. What am I, made of time? No, fuck off. But needless to say, this is going to be a huge boon. Be warned, though, that Conjure animals are technically considered Fey, so you can't benefit from giving them Beast Bond or anything like that. We also can get Daylight. Daylight creates an area of magical daylight. Daylight is essentially an item crash ability for you, and also hugely effective against vampires, just saying. We're also going to get Summon Fae. Now, we don't generally think of Maria as summoning Fae normally. However, this is the closest I could come up with to the Guardian Knuckle ability she has. If you're not familiar, it's a pretty obscure Maria sub-weapon. Essentially, she summons Star Platinum and beats the shit out of someone with her own magical alter ego. It's pretty cool, though, and Summon Fae allows you to do just that, summoning a Fae alter ego that can also beat the shit out of people. It's fun! You can get even more friends now. Isn't that wonderful? Now, at Druid 6, this is where our summons really start to get a little beefier with Mighty Summoner. This makes it so that every creature we summon has 2 extra hit points for every hit die it has, and also the damage from its natural weapons is considered magical for overcoming resistances and immunities. At level 7, we are multi-classing finally into Ranger. We're gonna get our free proficiency in Insight, so we're able to tell when our best friend Richter is actually possessed by an undead evil sorcerer. Pretty useful skill. We also get to pick a favored enemy, which gives us advantage on rolls to track them and recall knowledge about them. I'm gonna say that vampires being undead is probably the best choice for this. Because favored terrain from Natural Explorer is pretty useless. Instead, we are getting Deft Explorer, and we're going to pick our Animal Handling proficiency to become Expertise, so that no one is better at whispering sweet, sweet nothings into a pigeon's ear than we are. At level 8, we are going to Ranger 2, and we're going to pick up a fighting style. If you want to reflavor your clothes as light armor, go with defense. Otherwise, I would recommend archery for the bonus on your ranged weapon attack rolls. Here, you also get more options for spell casting. You can pick up Cure Wounds if you want to get a quick and cheap heal, which, remember, if you have the Spirit of the Dragon totem up, that means you get to share that heal with everyone else nearby, which is pretty dang useful. And we're also going to grab the single best ranger spell, Hunter's Mark, which allows us to pick an enemy that for up to the next hour gets an extra 1d6 of damage taken whenever you hit them with a weapon. And advantage on perception or survival checks to find them again if they manage to get away. Even better, you can, if they drop to 0 hit points, switch that as another bonus action to target a different creature. It's not super great for us since we also have a lot of other things that require concentration, but we'll cover that when we get to the pros and cons. At level 9, we're on to Ranger 3, and boy howdy, I hope you enjoyed Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, because as a swarm keeper, you are going to have a hell of a lot of them. This gives you the ability of gathering swarm, which makes it so that whenever any attack you roll a d22, including spell attacks, that's huge, you can choose one of the 3 following effects. Either the attacked target gets an extra 1d6 piercing damage as a swarm of pigeons and doves comes to aid your attack. You could force them to make a strength saving throw against your spell save, or be moved by the swarm up to 15 feet horizontally in a direction of your choice. Or you can move yourself, being picked up by all of your doves, 5 feet horizontally in a direction of your choice. This is something that has no upward limit of how many times you can use it other than the cap of only 1 time per round, so absolutely use this. Weapon attacks, spell attacks, doesn't matter. Always be throwing pigeons. It's the basic fundamental, and we are experts of it. Pigeon throwing, that is. We also get Swarmkeeper magic. This includes Mage Dove, which creates a spectral dove that you can use to pick up unattended objects or manipulate them as if you were holding them in your hand, and Fairy Fire, which creates several small phoenixes that you can use to illuminate an area and potentially give advantage to enemies targeted within, or reveal unseen enemies. We also get to learn one more ranger spell at this level. We're going to go with Hail of Doves. This makes it so the next time that you hit a creature with a ranged weapon attack within the next minute, in addition to the normal effects of the attack, each creature, including the target within 5 feet of the target, has to make a dexterity saving throw or take an additional 1d10 piercing damage on a failed save, half as much on a succeeded. Again, we are already straight trippin' doves. Birthday party magicians have nothing on you. You have so many birds, and we're only gonna get more from here. At level 10, we're on to Ranger 4. We get our next ability score improvement. We're going to be capping out our Wisdom for maximum damage on all of our spells. Moving on to Ranger level 5. Here we get our extra attack, so now when we throw one pocket dove... Oh, what's that in the other pocket? It's another pocket dove. They'll never see it coming. We also get some more spells. We learn the Aid spell, which lets you and a small group of friends get an increase of 5 hit points to their max HP and 5 current total HP. So, you know, if you want to just buff up a small group of your friends with a spell that lasts an hour with no concentration, go for it. It's a very solid, if small, assistance. We also get from our Swarmkeeper subclass Web. Web doesn't really fit with our animal vibes, so I mean, you can definitely still use it because it's a great way to immobilize someone that can't make the saving throw to escape from the affected area, but maybe we can reflavor it to be, I don't know, pigeon poop. Pigeon poop's probably pretty sticky. If you want to test this out, you can do it for yourself. but I'm gonna keep saying it's sticky until someone tells me otherwise. Level 12, we get to Ranger level 6 and we get another favored enemy. I would say probably Fiends or Monstrosities are the next most common enemy types, so go with one of those. We also get the Roving feature, which increases our walking speed by 5 feet and also gives us a climbing and swimming speed equal to our walking speed. At level 13, we have Ranger 7. This gives us Writhing Tide, which means that as a bonus action, we can
Please use the
call
link in
forth a
description
flock
to
of our
download
pigeons to give us a
the
flying
top
speed
quality.
of 10 feet and the ability to hover. It lasts for a minute or until you're incapacitated, and you can use the feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest. You also get an additional spell. Let's go with Magic Weapon to make, say, the sling we've been throwing around pigeons with a +1 to hit and to damage magic weapon. That seems pretty good to me. At level 14, we finally jump back over to Druid 7. Here we get 4th level spells. The ones I'm suggesting are Conjure Woodland Beings to summon more and stronger Fey and woodland animals. At this point, you can summon giant tigers and fey lions and lynxes. Those seem like pretty good options for your cat friend. You also get freedom of movement, which makes it so you or anyone you can touch, but let's be real, it's probably going to be yourself, the ability to ignore difficult terrain and spells and other magical effects cannot reduce your target speed or make you paralyzed or restrained. Additionally, if you spend a total of 5 feet of movement, you automatically escape from any non-magical restraints, like manacles or being grappled, and being underwater has no penalty to your movement or attacks. Again, Maria's super speedy and mobile. And you also get Stone Skin, or as we're going to call it, Advanced Turtle Shell. This makes it so concentration for the next hour, you have resistance to non-magical, bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage. Going on from there to Druid level 8, we get another ability score improvement. We've already maxed out our Wisdom. Let's start maxing out our Dexterity as best we can to help with throwing around the birds and not getting hit in the first place. At level 16, we become a level 9 Druid, which gives us access to 5th level spells. I'm going to suggest you grab Commune with Nature, which lets you ask the natural world around you questions and you learn 3 facts, which can include things like, hey, is there a powerful undead nearby, like, say, Dracula? Cool, I'm going to go kill it. Thanks, Nature. Mass Cure Wounds, if you want to help patch up your huge pool of pigeons. Speaking of pigeons, you also get Dove Plague, which allows you to create a 20-foot radius sphere of lightly obscured, difficult terrain, hordes of pigeons descending, and anyone who's in that area when it appears or who starts their turn there has to make a Constitution saving throw or take 4d10 piercing damage from the many pigeon pecks on a failed save, half as much on a save. And finally, we get to fill out our last of the big checkpoints for this build, Summon Draconic Spirit, which lets you summon a fucking dragon. This is such a badass spell. You can basically pick any of the dragon types, so you have incredible damage type coverage. Highly recommend it. Not gonna bother explaining any of the stats about the dragon though, because that's too much work. Then we hit Druid level 10, which makes us a Guardian Spirit. This means that when a beast or fae that you have summoned or created with a spell ends its turn in your Spirit Totem's aura, they regain a number of hit points equal to half your Druid level. Now, 5 HP restored per turn may not seem like a lot, but for a lot of beasts that can be a huge difference. Not to mention, that's all of the creatures that fit within that 30-foot aura. You can heal huge herds of creatures this way, and healed creatures means more hurting on the vampires. You also get to learn one more cantrip. Let's go with Guidance. It's a pretty good all-around spell to just give you or some other friend an extra d4 on an ability check. DMs hate it. It'll be changed in future editions, I'm sure, but for now, you might as well abuse it while you can. For are getting so close to the end now. At level 18, we are an 11th level druid. We get 6th level spell access. I'm going to suggest Conjure Fae to be able to summon the biggest and baddest furry friends you possibly can. We also get Investiture of Flame, which makes you immune to fire damage and resistant to cold damage. Any creature that moves within 5 feet of you for the first time on a turn or ends their turn within 5 feet takes 1d10 fire damage, and you can use your action to create a line of fire 15 feet long, 5 feet wide that forces a dexterity save, or the creature takes 48 fire damage on a fail, half as much on a save. This is a nice little item crash. If you actually look at some of the item crashes, a lot of them end up having the fire element for her and surrounding her with flames, so it's a pretty good fit. And then you can also get Wall of Doves at this level, which can create a 10-foot high, 60-foot long, 5-foot thick wall of birds, or a circle with a 20-foot diameter and up to 20 feet high and 5 feet thick. Either way, the doves block sight, and when the wall appears, each creature within its area has to make a dexterity saving throw, and on a failure takes 78 piercing damage. A creature can move through this wall of birds, but it's very slow and painful. It basically, every 1 foot a creature moves through the wall means that they have to spend 4 feet of movement. It's a little more confusing than difficult terrain, but it's better at least. Also, the first time they enter the wall on a turn or end their turn there, they have to make another dex save or take a additional 1d8 slashing damage from all of the claws and talons on these little birds. At level 19, we are a 12th level druid. We get another ability score improvement. Let's buff up our constitution for retroactively more HP and better concentration saves. And then finally, at level 20, we are a 13th level druid for 7th level spells. I'm going to recommend Firestorm for massive AoE fire damage on a failed dex save, and Regenerate for even bigger heals for you or someone else. Probably you, though. Or Richter, I guess. He's kind of a himbo. Seems like he might need the healing. Our final ability scores are looking like this. Strength still low, but that's mitigated by the +5 that you'll still get to athletics rolls. Good dexterity and constitution, maxed out wisdom, and enough intelligence and charisma to get you by. Okay, so breaking it down in the analysis section for the pros, turns out beasts, even though they're underwhelming individually, can be incredible if you know what beasts you want to summon. You can find a perfect fit for pretty much any occasion, and let me tell you, busting out a Tyrannosaurus feels very, very satisfying. Offensively speaking, you, as an individual, are also no slouch. You can do supporting weapon attacks and also magical damage of any type in the game. You're also pretty adaptable in terms of what you can support the party with. Heals, buffs. You are a very well-rounded team player, and pretty much any party is going to appreciate having someone like you in. And finally, let's not forget the sheer amount of characters that you can summon to help you out. At max level, you can summon up to 25 creatures to assist you. You're basically able to lock down a ground-bound person's movement just through sheer force of scale. It is amazing. It will almost guaranteed make a DM cry. And as a player, let me tell you, that is most satisfying. Now, as for cons, as a DM, enough summonable allies really can make a DM cry. And, you know, sometimes your DM is actually a friend and you don't want to upset them, you know? I'm a DM and a player. I gotta, play my odds, make sure I'm safe personally. I don't care about your DMs at home, but I want to stay safe. Also, while you have a decent Constitution score, since you don't have proficiency in Constitution saves, you're not going to get that added bonus, and you're also very physically weak, so you could get pretty easily pushed around or grappled if you don't have freedom of movement up. And finally, as a real big one here, this is a very concentration-heavy spell list. That means that you're only going to be able to have one of those spells up at a time. You're going to have to pick and choose which of your guardian spirits you want to use. But none of those cons actually really matter that much, because you get to play as the absolute GOAT Maria fucking Renard. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It took me a while to put this together, and I really appreciate the support. And who knows, if this ends up getting a lot of views, then maybe I'll do more of these soon. Bye!